This is a review on a multifocal lens replacement. It's about my journey from originally starting out wanting laser eye treatment through to finding out I could only have a lens replacement, and obviously then finding out about the multifocal lens, whether I was going to have two eyes done or one eye done. I had one eye done in the end. But I just wish I'd have had somebody to talk to, which is the whole purpose of this video. So watch it, contact me, all my details are underneath. If you've got any questions or anything like that, I'm happy to help, because I wish somebody had been there for me when I was having it done. But honestly, best thing ever. Right, so here we are, less than 24 hours before I have my single eye multifocal lens replacement. I'm having it done over in Leeds, and hopefully what this video is going to explain to you is how I've come to the point where I'm actually having it done, the procedures that I've had done so far, and then after the operation, how the operation went, what I felt when the operation was being done, and how hopefully my eyes adapted well to the new lens. So at 53 years old, I used to have absolutely excellent eye condition, both short sight and long sight, no problems whatsoever. I used to really be able to see things detailed up close, and then got to about 46 years old and it started to go off. I couldn't see the messages on my phone very well, I couldn't read on the phone very well, and that gradually got worse and worse. All I did was I just started buying cheap £1 glasses, and then having those scattered all over the house. I invested in a good pair of Oakley glasses, which I still use if I'm doing a lot of paperwork. But basically I just rely on cheap throwaway glasses. As I say, scattered all over the house, and they've gradually gone up from 1.25 to 1.5 to 1.75. I had a prescription done, so I had an eye check done about 2 years ago, and I think it's 1.75 in one eye and 1.5 in the other eye. But it was becoming annoying wearing glasses. So this is the type that I generally wear around the house, and if you're anything like me, they tend to stay on there like that, and you pull them down to use them, put them back up when you don't use them. They break on the side. They normally break when you most need them, so you've got to root around for another one. They do the job, but they became an inconvenience. You'll know what I mean if you do any DIY work or anything like that, when your head's at an angle and you're trying to look under something and your glasses are falling off, so you're having to hold them on with one hand, and then you've only got one hand to do the work that you're trying to do. So a real inconvenience. I started looking at laser surgery about 3 years. I started thinking about laser surgery about 3 years ago, but the glasses weren't that much of an inconvenience where I actually went out and did anything about it. I just thought it's something I can do further down the road. And then in November of last year, so about 5 months ago, we went on holiday and I was snorkeling. I obviously had a mask on, so I couldn't wear any glasses, and I was trying to video underwater with an action camera. Not only could I not see on the screen what I was actually videoing, I couldn't see whether the light was flashing on it to show that it was in operation, and I'd have to go like that, bring it up to my eye to see whether it was on. So that's what's on all the videos. So when I got back, I started looking in earnest, and we booked an appointment to see whether I could have laser surgery. We went along there, it was all organised within a week, I think. We went along to the clinic and they performed all the tests, which took about an hour. And once all the tests had been done, I sat down with an eye doctor, and she was fantastic. She taught me through everything. And the unfortunate thing that I thought at the time was, she said that I wasn't suitable for laser surgery. My long sight is perfect. It's better than perfect. It's better than 20/20 basically, and that's something that I wouldn't want to lose. I can't see anything close up. So she talked me through what laser surgery would have actually entailed, and it would have entailed obviously the laser cutting away some of the eye, reshaping it so that I could focus on things that were close, but that over a period of time I would lose the benefit and I'd have to start wearing glasses again. When she said that I'd have to have lens replacement, it was something that I'd never thought of. And I have to say, I really thought, well, that's probably not something that I want. But she went on to further explain it, and basically there's benefits from it. So the benefits are, when it's done, however it is, it will stay like that forever. It's not going to deteriorate. It's basically exactly the same as having a cataracts operation. And the vast majority of people over 60 at some point will get cataracts. So it's probably an operation that I'll have to have at some point in the future. So I started to think, well, why not have it now and bring the benefits of that forward? She also said there was starting to be some clouding anyway. So it's something that I'm definitely going to have had in the future. I was still concerned though, because she said that if I had it done, what I am going to lose is the perfect long vision that I've got. And I really like being able to see clearly over a long distance. But again, what she said was, her recommendation would be that I only have one lens replaced, and that's with a multifocal lens. And her explanation on that was, I'd still have the benefit of the long sight, but obviously I'd then have the benefit of being able to focus and read close up. And with it being a multifocal lens, I'd still have some long distance in that eye. Over a period of time through neural learning, so in other words, your brain learning to perceive properly what it's seeing and block out the things that it doesn't require, I'd basically have the best of both worlds. What that made me think was, well, I can see what the benefit will be in one eye, and obviously I can cover up the eye that's not having any surgery done on it, and I can see then after a period of months if what I can see through the eye that's having the operation is something that would be acceptable for both eyes, or if I just want to keep with the one lens being replaced until the other lens deteriorates and I don't have that long distance vision. So before we left, I booked the video consultation with the surgeon that would actually be carrying out the operation, and I also booked the slot for the surgery itself. So the video appointment was for 2 weeks after the initial review, and then the appointment was for a week after that. So after speaking to the surgeon, if I was happy with it, I'd be booked in the following week, and that's what's happening tomorrow. Before I actually went on the video consultation, I went on YouTube, which is basically the reason why I'm doing this video now. If you're looking at the video, you're looking at it for a reason, and that's because you've got concerns, because ultimately your eye is a fantastic thing. It can do all sorts, and you don't want to lose that eye. You don't want to lose the vision that you've got. If your vision's not terrible, then why would you make it worse? And that was a concern of mine. It was alleviated somewhat because I would only be having one eye done, but you hear about halo effect and starbursts and shadowing and things like that. So to be able to listen to people that had actually had the work done and hear them talk about how their life had been improved by not having to wear glasses, and in all honesty, not hearing that much negative, it made me feel a lot better before the video consultation. So during that consultation, it was pretty much decided, and we signed up and paid the deposit, and I've paid the balance now, so I'm going in tomorrow. Am I apprehensive about it? No, not really. What the surgeon explained was, so one of the questions that my wife asked was, what's the likelihood of there being a really bad infection and losing the eyesight? And he said that he's done about 30,000 cataract replacements or lens replacements, some of them through cataracts, some of them through what I'm having done, just vanity basically. He said that when there's a challenge, it's normally when an old person, an 85, 90-year-old, goes in for a cataracts operation. When they leave, they're obviously given the eye drops and any medication that's required. They'll go home, there's nobody there to remind them to take the medication, so they might be forgetful, they'll forget to take it, and before you know it, they've got an infection in the eye, they might not come in, and that's where the challenge is. Obviously, that's not going to happen to me. So there shouldn't really be any problems. So the lens in your eye works by expanding or contracting and changing the shape of that lens so that you can focus. And obviously, as you get older, the reason why I become short-sighted or long-sighted is because that lens won't change shape as quickly or at all. So you aren't able to focus. When you have the lens replaced, for example, if you have a cataract lens replacement on the NHS, they'll replace the lens with a mono lens, which is basically a lens that won't change shape and will only focus at one distance. And you still need to wear glasses. You might need to wear glasses for distance or close-up. The lens that I'm having is a multifocal lens, and it's basically, instead of it being just able to focus at one distance, it's made up of rings. So depending where you're looking through those rings, depending where your focal distance is, I'm not saying that's a worry for me. I just don't know what I'm going to be able to see. And that's probably one of the other reasons why I'm doing this video. I want to be able to describe when it's done so that other people that are looking to have the surgery can get some idea of what the outcome's going to be. It's okay saying, oh, my vision's great, I can focus on this, I can focus on that. But what's that actually going to look like? Do you have to hold your eye in a particular place so that you can view it somewhere? I have no idea. But as I said, the surgery is tomorrow, so I'll be able to give you some feedback then. We're on Wednesday now. I had the operation around about 12 o'clock on Saturday, and this is what's happened over the last few days. Oh, I am so happy that I've had it done. So just having the one eye done basically means that I've still got really, really good long vision, and now I can read without glasses. There's no having them stuck on my head, there's no having them fog up when I'm having to wear a mask because of the stupid lockdown and the mask rules. It's excellent, and I'm going to talk you through what happened. So I went along for a pre-op, which lasted probably about 15 minutes. So they did the pressure on the eye and just checked a few things. They put some liquid anaesthetic onto my eyeball. I had to wait about 5 or 10 minutes for that to start to happen. I couldn't tell that there was any anaesthetic on there. And then I got called into surgery, laid down on a bed, put something under my knees, just relaxed, and it was literally over in 5 minutes, 10 minutes maximum. They put a sheet over my face, cut a space so that they could see my eye, and then all I could do was focus on the light that was shining into my face. The only thing that I could feel was pressure just being applied to the side of the eye. Nothing painful at all. Uncomfortable, certainly, because you didn't know what was coming next, but not painful. And then as I'm focusing on the light, it obviously went out of focus as they destroyed the existing lens, took that out, everything went blurry, and then the new lens went back in, and it was obviously still blurry. Nothing that you'd be able to use going forward at that. And they put this over my eye at that point, just to protect it. And this is something that you use in bed as well. Obviously, while you're asleep, you could damage it. So they put that over my eye using some tape. And I then went outside, spoke to a nurse who told me about the drops that I had to take. So for the first 2 days, for example, I had to take 2 types of drops every 2 hours, and then 1 type of drop morning and evening. And then after those first 2 days, so come Monday, I had to take 2 types of drops every 4 hours and 1 type of drop morning and evening. And again, it's just 1 drop each time. So no major aftercare worries about what to do. So I got home on Saturday and I was watching television. I could see the television clearly, although remember, I did have that over my eye. So out of the eye that had been operated on, things were blurry, and I was seeing halos, and those halos, they just got worse as it went into darkness at night time. The lights and the screen, I could definitely see halos, and it was blurry. But it wasn't necessarily blurry because of the operation. It could very well have been because of that. So that night I went to bed, woke up in the morning, and I was really apprehensive just to see what my sight was going to be like. And I came downstairs and I picked up a lithium-ion battery that goes into an action camera. And you know how you get your warning information on there, you know, do not eat, etc., etc. Really, really small writing. Well, I could see it as plain as day with both eyes open. So I've got long vision in this eye, I've got a new lens in this eye, and I could see it as plain as day. And that was so exciting, just to think the operation has actually been a success. It's less than 24 hours after the operation, and I can read without glasses. And as the Sunday progressed, I was just picking things up and looking at them. And if I was actually doing something like reading the phone or reading a piece of paper, because I had to do, I was reaching up to pull the glasses down that weren't there because I didn't need them, so they weren't on my head. And then I think, oh God, I need my glasses to read. And then I think, oh no, I don't need my glasses to read. Really, really exciting. So this is probably not for everybody, just because some people have a fear of surgery. So I get that. But this is about my operation and how I can see now. And even though, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, so I'm really 4 days in, and it's fantastic. I'm going to show you a picture across the valley, and on the top of the valley there's some white posts, and I could see those clearly before the operation. When I look out of the window now, I can still see them clearly, because this eye is the eye that I've always had, that's got excellent long vision, so there's no problem. But now this eye is the one that I read with. And there is a bit of neural learning, I understand that. Today I've had, you know when you're going to get a headache but you haven't actually got it yet? I was getting that. I did a lot of driving today. So that's what will happen over the next weeks and months, where my brain will work out, right, I'm looking long distance, I'm going to use the right eye. I'm reading, I'm going to use the left eye. But if I'm looking at the television on the wall over there, which is about 15 feet away, it's as clear as day, even though if I was to cover up the good eye, it would be a little bit blurred with the new lens. Only a little bit. I could still read small writing on it, but it would be a little bit blurred. This eye kicks in and I can see it clearly. And conversely, so this book that's got really small writing in it, so you can see how small that writing is there, and that's average writing there. I can see that as clear as day. Combi drill, 460 watt, 70 nm, 15 torque settings easily. And that's small writing. What you've got to do, it's not like in the good old days when you had an eye that focused perfectly. You've actually got to manually focus. In other words, that really, really small writing there, I need to bring that up to, and you also need to be in lights as well. I need to bring it there and I can read it without an issue. If I take it that far back, I can't read it. And if I bring it too close in, I can't read it. So there is a sweet spot. So for example, I'll show you the mobile phone case, because obviously I'm recording with the phone. If I was reading small text, maybe a newspaper, something like that on the phone, I'd hold it there and I'd be able to see it clearly. Absolutely no problem. This eye wouldn't be overcompensating. I'd be able to see it clearly. So I just want to talk now about the post-op interview, which I had 2 days after the initial operation. So as I said, the operation was at 1 o'clock on Saturday, and then at 12 o'clock on Monday, I had to go for a post-op. And what that was basically doing was, it was checking to see whether the eye was infected, whether it was healing okay, and also to sign me off on driving, because you're not supposed to drive after you've had the operation. So the first thing that they checked was the pressure in my eyeball. They also checked for any damage, how it was healing, whether there was any discharge, and basically said that there was, obviously because it was only 2 days after the operation, there was bruising and there was, not hemorrhaging, best blood vessels. He said, but other than that, everything was going fine. And I was keeping up the regime with the eye drops, so all that was good. Then the next stage was just to see whether I was okay to drive. So he showed me a chart on the wall, asked me if I could read the top line. I said, well, I can actually read the bottom line. So then he brought another chart up with another 4 lines. Again, I could read the smallest on that. Now, to be signed off on driving, I only needed to see the top line on the original chart, but I could see them clearly. He then gave me a laminated sheet of paper with about 9 paragraphs on it, each one getting decreasingly smaller. And I could see the smallest on there, again, reading it clearly. He said that what he would have expected would have to be able to see number 4, but I could see number 1. So I suppose that my operation went really well. And that was enforced, really. There was a man outside when I came out who had the operation after me on the Saturday. He'd had one eye operated on as well, but he was having to wear sunglasses because the light was too bright for him. And he'd also damaged his lens as well. Not the lens, but the eyeball, because he was putting the drops in by himself and he'd actually scratched it, so that wasn't too good. And his vision was blurred. So it goes to show, no matter whether you've had the same operation, depending how you recuperate, how you look after yourself, and maybe how your brain actually reacts to understanding what it's seeing now, the recuperation time can take longer and the benefits can take longer to see, I suppose. But I am so happy with where we stand at the moment. I've just taken the dogs out for a walk. It's been bright sunlight. I went into the supermarket this morning and I was walking around just finding myself reading shelf edge labels of products because I can do, and I've never been able to do that before. So as I said, everything should get better. My brain should start to understand what it's seeing easier. But as it stands at the moment, I'm so glad that I've had this operation. A life without glasses is just something that I've been looking forward to for a few years now. And the one thing that I will say, so I anticipate, my fear of the operation was that because it was a multifocal lens and I've been told that it's got rings around it, my fear was that out of the eye that's been operated on, I didn't know whether I'd have to move the eye over here so that I could see there clearly, or whether I would see actual rings when I was looking at things because of the refraction through the lens. And that for me was, it was just something that I didn't want. But I don't have to do any of that. I just need to look at something as normal and it's there, whether it's short, medium or long distance. Long distance is a bit hazy. We'll see if that improves. My peripheral vision, I'll do it on this side. I can see my fingers moving there. Oh, hang on, we need to do it on this side, don't we? I can see, I'll just move over a bit. So I can see my fingers moving there. That peripheral vision, in fact, is going out to here. That peripheral vision is absolutely fantastic. So we'll do the next update soon, but as it stands at the moment, life's fantastic. Make sure you wear this at night. So I've got to wear this for 2 weeks. And obviously there's other things that I'm not able to do at the moment. I'm still resting. But yeah, great. I'm just going to quickly follow up on a few things that I didn't put in that video. So I'm getting negligible halo effect on lights at night. I see nothing on the television. I would have to be looking at a headlight to see a slight halo on it. Again, this is 4 days in basically. What else is happening? I was watching a video by somebody else and they were saying that, so I think they were from Sweden or Denmark, and when they looked across their valley they were seeing shadowing on a house roof. I'm seeing no shadowing whatsoever. There's a slight double vision when I'm reading on a very bright screen. And that's purely and simply because the long distance eye is trying to focus as well at the moment. So that's where that's coming from. The other thing I'm getting very, very occasionally are floaters in my eye. But I've had floaters since I was a kid, so I'm not really noticing that as being an effect of the operation. Right, that's it then. So it's Tuesday today. Saturday just gone was 5 weeks after I had the operation. I'd like to say I've had my good days and bad days, but I haven't. I've only had good days. From the morning after the operation, waking up to be able to see small print without glasses was just unbelievable. And would I say that it's got better every day since then? Yes, the vision's got better. Certainly stopping taking the drops after 4 weeks was great. The feeling of reaching for your glasses on your head, them not being there, thinking, God, I haven't got my glasses, and then thinking, I don't need my glasses, it's just unbelievable. Being able to pick something up and read it without scrabbling around for glasses, without having to have glasses in the car, next to the bed, next to the PC. It's probably one of the best decisions that I've ever made. And as far as the cost goes, for £3,200, I'd be spending that on glasses over the next few years anyway. But it's the convenience, the ease with which my life just flows now, which is the main benefit. So in summary, what would I say? I'd recommend this to anybody, or should I say I'd recommend this to anybody where the surgery would suit them. So I wasn't able to have laser surgery, and I'm glad I wasn't able to have laser surgery now because that declines, or the benefits from it decline over a period of time. This surgery means it's as good now as it's going to be in 20 years time or 30 years time, and I don't need a cataract replacement in that eye anymore. I've said that I was speaking to a lady, so my wife's had it done. She had it done 3 weeks afterwards. And when we went back for her first post-op meeting, the lady was there that said that she'd been to, and I don't know who the company was, but they'd said they would only replace 2 lenses, so a lens in each eye. And that's why she'd gone to Optimax, because they were prepared to do it in just one, and that's what was offered to us right at the initial consultation. They said what we would advise is that you only have the lens replaced in one. Now, if I'd have had both lenses replaced, I'd be wearing glasses now for my long distance, whereas as it stands, I can look out of the window, I can look across the valley, and everything's pin sharp, because this eye that hasn't been operated on is fantastic for long distance. I obviously can't read with it close up, but then it just switches over to the new lens, which is unbelievable. If they'd both been replaced, as I said, I'd still have to wear glasses, but it would be for long distance, because if I cover that up and then look out to where the trees are, I can see the trees and everything, but they're not sharp. Uncover that one and the trees are sharp again. I could watch the television easily with this one, with the new lens. So that TV, as I say, it's about 16 to 17 feet away. It's a 70 odd inch TV. But I can see that fine with the eye that's been operated on. I wouldn't need glasses or anything, but this eye kicks in and just picks everything up. More than anything else, I can now look forward to my summer holiday. As long as we can get out of the country and get abroad, I can look forward to snorkeling, scuba diving, swimming, using the action camera, all without having to worry about carrying glasses around, taking them down to the pool. Driving a moped abroad, you imagine this. You've got your helmet on, you've got glasses on so that you can look at your sat nav on your phone, and your sunglasses. You can't take glasses on and off when you've got a helmet on. It's just horrendous. Don't have to worry about that anymore. It's great. I've been wearing glasses for about 6 years, and it's steadily got worse. I could have made this decision a few years ago and it would have benefited me, but at least I've made the decision now. What I do wish is that I'd have had somebody to speak to just ask them questions before I'd had the operation. Not because it would have affected the outcome of the operation, but until I woke up the morning after the operation, I still had no idea what I would see out of the eye. And what I mean by that is, I just thought that, for example, I'm looking at the camera now, and the focus is on the camera, but what would it be like as it came out? Would I be seeing rings? And you don't. It's exactly like, the eye is exactly like it was before, but just better, much, much better. So yeah, I would have loved to have been able to just ask questions of somebody. So by all means, message me on YouTube. It's pointless asking me medical questions because I'm not a doctor. I won't be able to answer those questions. But if you've got a concern or anything, just message me and I'll do my utmost to reply to you. So the company I used for my operation was Optimax, and this is not a video promoting Optimax. This is a video that I've done off my own back just to say lens replacement surgery is absolutely fantastic. It's worked for me and it's worked for my wife. Now, I've had it done by the company called Optimax, which is in the UK. I can only promote them, or I can only say that they're good because they're the only company that I've used. But the consultation, the surgery, the post-surgery care has all been fantastic. If you are going to go to them, do me a favour, and if you use my patient number, which is 22047130, it means that I get £50, which is fantastic. What I'll do is I'll put the link to Optimax below, and I'll get a few other companies and I'll put their links on as well. As I said, this isn't about a video with me promoting Optimax. If you want to send me any messages, as I said, I'll do my utmost to reply to them. It's a big thing to have your eye operated on. It's a big thing to have your eye operated on through choice and not through necessity. So in other words, if you've got cataracts and you can't see out of your eye, it's a necessity to have an eye operation. If you want to see better, there's always that at the back of your mind that there's a risk involved. Being able to speak to somebody would have done me a world of good. Contact me, go with Optimax, go with any other company. My recommendation is just do it.